You might be surprised to hear that 60% of cash flow issues in business directly relate to either your stock levels or your work in progress. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you are selling something, either a product, your time, or some combination of both. Your ability to manage your stock levels and your work in progress balance is absolutely critical to your success. If either one of these two get out of hand, and believe me, it can happen very quickly and easily if you're not on top of it every single week, you can find yourself in a tight position and unable to pay your bills and wages this week. I want to share with you a really handy ratio or key performance indicator that I use with my coaching clients, and I think you're really going to find it valuable and helpful to you in your business. For those of you that have inventory, it's called days stock on hand. How we calculate it is inventory divided by the year-to-date cost of goods sold times the number of days that have expired so far in your taxation or your current year. Now, before we go any further, for those of you that have work in progress, I will show you in a minute how to apply that to the total hours that you have worked but not yet billed to your clients. We'll come back to that in a minute though. Let's talk about this. So the first thing you've got to do is print a profit and loss and a balance sheet for the year. And I'm going to give you two examples so you can see how, if we're only one month into the year or all the way through the taxation year, how we do the calculation. So I'll give you an example, and we'll just pull some numbers out of the sky. Let's assume that you've got an inventory balance of $500,000. And we're 1 month into a taxation year. So your year-to-date cost of goods sold from your P&L, let's just say that it's $750,000. And 31 days relates to the fact you've been only trading for 1 month this year. If you multiply all of this out, you're going to get left with a number of 20. Great. Let's take another example we're going to look at side by side. Let's assume that we're talking about the whole taxation year. How does that work? Well, let's again assume that we've got an inventory balance, of course that comes from your balance sheet, of $500,000. And you're going to divide that by the total year-to-date cost of goods sold from your profit and loss. And that could be as high as, let's just estimate, $9.5 million in this case. So 750 times 12 months of the year. And we're going to multiply times 365 because you've been trading for the whole year. And lo and behold, magic, we're going to get the number of 20 again. This is just a coincidence that it's coming out at 20 both times, but I just want to do the math with you quickly so that you can get an idea of how it works. So now we're left with the number 20. Great. In these examples that I've given, what does this 20 mean? Now, this number can be very useful to you in operating your business and for setting targets because it tells you the number of days that you could trade without having to replenish your stock. If you happen to be in business where you can order stock and have it delivered very quickly, say in 1 or 2 days, you may want to review your stock holdings to identify slow or dead items that can be sold quickly to bring this number of days down. However, if you are in the type of business that takes 3 or 4 months to receive new stock, maybe from overseas, that you've ordered, this 20 days might not be enough, and you could be missing out on sales because you don't have enough stock. Either way, this ratio is the best one that I know to measure your stock holding and convert it into a number that you can use to guide and grow your business safely. Now, for those of you who are selling time or services, you can use the same basic calculation with one minor change to measure your days tied up in work in progress. That's the ratio. Simply substitute work in progress right here in the numerator of this equation for inventory. Now, if we assume for a moment that our numbers are the same, that in your business you've got $500,000 tied up in work in progress at either the end of 1 month or the end of the year, you would again magically be left with a number of 20, wouldn't you? Great. What this means to you is that you have 20 days worth of sales tied up in work in progress, where you've performed the service or the work and you have probably paid someone to do it, an employee or a subcontractor, but you haven't yet billed it to your clients. Now, knowing this number is very important because it's a substantial amount of time. If your cash flow position is poor, this could be the prime reason why. Now you know that you need to get as much of your work in progress billed out to your customers and collected to boost your cash flow as possible, don't you? And to keep yourself on track, you can choose to set a target of, say, 14 days and measure your days in work in progress on hand regularly to check your progress, can't you? Inventory and work in progress management are critical to you and your business. If you don't know exactly where you're at on either of these two items, it's going to be hard to be successful in your business. It's almost impossible to look at the inventory balance on your balance sheet and know whether or not you're in a good position. The best way to do it is to use these ratios. Set acceptable targets, communicate them to your team, and measure them regularly.